We should be live now. Welcome back. Welcome back. Some Goshen here again to read some more mysterious stuff. You know, brought to you by your favorite friends. And again, hmm, we're trying to finish up. I'm just above halfway. There's a lot of pages. Um, of the analysis and assessment of the gateway process. Yeah, I know the title now, right, guys? There's been the days in the last um, since it's left off. Um, in in this context, sorry, we're gonna do a slight recap. Um, oh yeah, they talking about blipping in and out. Right there, blips. To infinity. Bro, it's a lot of cool stuff. A lot of cool stuff. But I'm gonna go ahead and um, start back at 23 where I was. Most of that was like once you get experience in doing an out of body state, um, pretty much you can set up checkpoints is what they're trying to say. Get at, or that's what I believe. Now they're saying here you can once you have proficiency in it, you see where it's able to break out of the time space. Gain advantage of clicking out. Part of this enhanced consciousness, while starting from a base located much closer to the dimensions. Right, so uh, that's how that reads off to me. Like if you're playing a game or whatever, whatnot, you know, like checkpoint, so you don't have to go start from zero. Once you do it, um, but cool stuff. Sorry about the yawn. So we're gonna go right in. Similes. Uh, Sorry if it's low. Um, try and speak up. Um, so sorry 23. You know, absolute in perspective. It may be helpful at this point to pause and recap the major aspects of our intellectual journey from time space to the realm of the absolute. And again, the realm of the absolute is uh, that's um, that's like right when you go into the space consciously. Um, I think believe again, absolute is outside of time and space, right? Um, So we have spoken at some length concerning the incredibly complex hologram, which is created by the intersection of energy patterns generated by the totality of all dimensions of the universe, time space included. We have noted that our minds constitute energy fields which interact with various aspects of this hologram to produce information which is ultimately processed through the left hemisphere of our brains to reduce it to a form that we employ for the process we call thinking. We have implied that this hologram is the finite embodiment and active energy form of the infinite consciousness of the absolute. It is the title we assign. Sorry. It is the title we assign to that vast pool of energy and state of perfect rest over which the physical universe is layered, and from whence it comes. Incidentally, To describe this, um, right here. Sorry. Um, incidentally, to describe this, Bentov uses the analogy of a very deep sea, comparing the still depths of the sea to the dimension of the absolute, while assigning the storm-tossed waves above to represent the physical universe which we are familiar. The slightly agitated currents of the sea to be found in between the turbulent surface and the totally still depths represent the energy and process of either going into rest, approaching infinity, or coming out of rest. Here's where I get lost. Slightly currents of the sea. So the top portion is where we are. Everything below it represents all of the energy of the absolute, and even then that's nowhere near compared to the size. But it's a healthy way of, well, I can say healthy, interesting way of looking at it, which makes sense. Again, if I comprehended all that correctly, which I probably didn't, but I think I understand that part. You're saying the top of the pool, not the pool, but the water. 24, from Big Bang to Taurus. Working from the widely accepted Big Bang theory, Bentov presents a conceptual model to depict the process of time-space evolution, the relative position of the universe hologram. That hologram is also often called the torus because it is thought to have the overall shape of an immense self-contained spiral. Basing this thesis on recent studies concerning the distribution of quasars, quasi-stellar objects, and operating in a premise that smaller processes tend to be mirror images of larger ones, and operating on the premise that in the universe, smaller processes tend to mirror images of larger ones. Oh, okay, I understand that. Like how you look at the goddamn eye and it looks like the universe. That's probably not it, but i.e., the pattern of electrons around the nucleus of an atom mirrors the way planets orbit their suns and so on. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. Gravitation. Bentov postulates the following scenario. Taking his cue from the observed capability of quasars to eject enormously concentrated beams of matter from their interiors in a controlled, non-concentric version of the Big Bang, he in envisages a similar process occurring in the generation of the universe. See Exhibit 4 on the next page. I'm about to go check that out right now. Screw that. Jet of matter. So this is, oh no, my bad. Okay, yeah, so this is a Exhibit 4, jet of matter. Photograph of quasar emitter. Photograph, oh, let's figure 8. Photograph of quasar emitting jet of matter. So this white blob, I'm assuming is the quasar in this little uh, stuff right here, right? Uh, right there. You see a little better. It's probably the quasar, and this right here is the jet of matter. Yeah, also, interesting enough, this looks like a huge crowd. This looks like a huge crowd of people. Like a huge crowd of people. Let me go back up. Where was I again? And then this is the direction of time space evolving. Um, diagram of the cosmic egg. So this is what the heck? Universal point where flow of time, space turns towards opposite pole of ovoid. Or did it just mean void? Regardless. Um, so black hole, white hole. I don't know what these coordinates is the white hole. I'm not gonna lie to you. Universal hologram. Uh, very confusing. But I get some of it. So the universal and you moving in. Okay, so from the black hole is moving and flow of time. So flow of time is moving outward, and then like it's pretty much saying it circles, but it also splits off in a different opposite direction over here, and then it comes back. It loops around. Um, Interesting. I don't completely get that. I don't think I've ever seen this stylized rendition of a simple torus. I don't think I've ever seen this until I read this document, this entire thing. But the middle, I mean, hey, I've still never seen the whole thing, but it's, interesting. Everything is whirling around, and then it whirls out a little more. The this long part right here, hey, to me, it kind of look like a DNA strand. Another intertwining stuff. I guess this is what they were talking about when they say earlier when he was mentioning that smaller things often imitate the larger ones. So this pretty much would be the equivalent of the larger um, diagram, probably of some type of energy or the universe or whatnot. Same thing with this and this. In some way, shape, or form, this is probably the big one. And there's a smaller example of this, probably somewhere, or well, like I said, it kind of looks like a crowd, and it looks like the crowd's parting right there. Also looks like a ping pong pattern, but that's near here. But that's the exhibit. So I'm gonna go back up. Um, so wheels right here. Um, so again, it's when they're saying, I guess that's what they probably mean. Well, in some another example, than the one he gave with the patterns of electrons and nucleus of atom mirrors the way planets orbit their suns. Wait. Oh, so it's the opposite, right? Because the smaller ones come first and the bigger ones, right? So I had that first part wrong. So ignore that. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Noting that those galaxies located to the north of our own galaxy are moving way faster than those located to the south, and that those to the east and west are demonstrably more distant. Um, Bentov regards this as substantive evidence that the jet of matter which expanded into our universe has turned back upon itself, eventually forming an oh no, so it's literally an ovoid or egg shape. He sees matter in our universe entering the ovoid pattern following the ejection from a nucleus composed of extremely compressed energy to a white hole. At the end of its trip to the far end of the ovoid, he sees it departing via a black hole. In such a model, time is observed to be a measure of the change which occurs as energy evolves into new, more complex forms. That is, as it progresses along the distance from the white hole side of the nucleus around the shell of this cosmic egg until it enters the black hole. In other words, as energy expelled from infinity and confined with the limits of the consciousness. Oh no, as conscious of the absolute keeps form and motion following projection from the white hole atop the egg. Time begins as a measurement of the cadence of this evolutionary movement of reality goes around the shell of the egg, straight to the black hole at the far end. So all this is, in a way of thinking, energy that got pushed out from the white hole, I'll say, and it made its way, looped its way around back to the black hole. But they're in the same spot. Oh, this is matter, energy. This one they're talking about north and south, east and west being the furthest apart from it. So this little white hole, oh, all right, um, and the jet of matter would be this stuff right here. This is the jet of matter, all this little stuff right here, and it pretty much just circles around and comes back to the source. Uh, and all this is ovoid. Uh, Did anybody explain this to me easily? Go ahead. 10% I understood that. With 25, where are we? Oh, okay. We're 18. Um, at 25, our place in time, observed distribution of galaxies suggests that our particular universe is located near the top of the egg, at the point where matter begins to fall back onto itself, thus explaining the reason why the galaxies to the north are seen to be moving away more rapidly as they are caught up in the downturn of the stream of matter towards the far end of the cosmic egg. See Exhibit 5. Next page. Layered over this cosmic egg is the absolute, which sustains the radiating nucleus from which the original jet of matter issued forth. As the stream of matter moves around the ovoid towards its destination at the black hole, um, will be reabsorbed into the radiating nucleus and then the absolute. It generates the interference pattern within the cosmic egg, which constitutes the universal hologram or torus. It generates the interference pattern within the cosmic egg, which constitutes the universal hologram or torus. This, uh, all this confusion, this was really going to get me to shut up and just keep reading. Hey, like they said earlier, this is where things get interesting. Um, so let me see. Which constitutes the reabsorb into the radiating nucleus within the absolute. So this is the interference pattern. Um, this is the interference pattern from the stuff from this cosmic egg as it goes, as the matter or the energy goes back into the absolute, and this is the disruption of the looking pattern. Some cool stuff. Since the torus is being simultaneously generated by matter in all the various phases of time, it reflects the development of the universe in the past, present, and future. It as it would be seen from our particular perspective in one phase of time. By reflecting on this model, it becomes possible to see how um, um, it becomes possible to see how human consciousness brought to a sufficiently altered focus state could obtain information concerning the past, present, and future, since they all exist in universal holograms simultaneously. In the case of the future, because all of the consequences of the past and present can be seen coming together in the hologram, um, it is possible to see, I'm sorry, in the hologram such that the future can be predicted or seen in total accuracy. Moreover, it is possible to see how the implosion of energy patterns would cross the recross. Moreover, it is possible to see how the implosion of energy patterns would cross and recross to create an incredibly complex four-dimensional hologram of torus, um, in spiral shape and reflection of the multidimensional developing pattern of evolution. All of the movements of the energies which comprise the universe leave their mark and hence tell their story throughout time. Energy. They're gonna be warm up for the night, for the day. It's not nighttime; it's noon. Um, quality 26. Quality of consciousness. We noted earlier that the out-of-body state involves projection of a major portion of the energy pattern that represents human consciousness, so that it may move either freely throughout the terrestrial sphere, terrest, terrestrial, I know, terrestrial, dang it, terrestrial sphere for purposes of information acquisition or into other dimensions outside of time space, perhaps to interact with other forms of consciousness within the universe. Consciousness is the organizing and sustaining principle that provides the impetus and guidance to bring and keep energy in motion within a given set of parameters so that a specific reality will result. When consciousness reaches a state of sophistication in which it can perceive itself, its own hologram, it reaches a point of self-cognition. Human beings have this form of elevated consciousness as does the absolute, but in case of the latter, it is a function of energy. Sorry. When energy returns, I'm sorry, hold on. I'm gonna go back. Human beings have this form of elevated consciousness, as does the absolute. But in the case of the latter, the absolute, it is a function of energy and its associated quality of consciousness and infinity, omni, omniscience, and omnipotent, potence, and perceptual unity. When energy returns to a state of total rest, Within the absolute, it returns to the continuum of consciousness and the pool of limitless, timeless perception that resides there. Thus, the more complex an energy system in the material state, the more consciousness is possessed to maintain its reality. The more complex an energy system in the material state, the more consciousness it possesses to maintain its reality. Still here. The more complex energy system, the more complex an energy system is, the more complex an energy system in the material state, the more consciousness it possesses to maintain its reality. Our consciousness, therefore, is that differentiated aspect of the universal consciousness which resides within the absolute. Um, what? Our consciousness um, our consciousness, therefore, is that differentiated aspect of the universe consciousness which resides within the absolute. It accounts for the organization of the energy patterns which constitute our physical body, but is distinctly separated from and superior to it. All right, I understand that, I think. Since consciousness exists quite apart from and outside of reality, beyond the bounds of time space, it, like the absolute, has neither beginning nor end. Reality has both a beginning and an end because it is bound within time space. But the fundamental quantum of energy and its associated consciousness is eternal. Um, when reality ends, its constituent energy simply returns to infinity in the absolute. I would say that would probably be the best way I understand that is that, say, when you die, all that the material state, the physical body, I think that's what they talk about, the material state. Probably the physical world, not universe, right? When that ends, when that reality ends, so when we die physically, we go to the spirit world. All that's spirit world, all that, that stuff. That's what they're talking about. Again, I think that's all infinity. You know, where you can still talk to your ancestors because they're in the absolute. They return, their memories and um, essence of them and returns to the absolute. Instead of just physical, you're just pure energy now. So all those other places that isn't, say, I'll just constitute the earth. Like I said, the spirit world, demon world, all these other worlds, probably even heaven and hell. More than likely, even heaven and hell. All that's located in the absolute. Now, pretty sure many of those things overlap, maybe, and this is where they can return to the physical world, right? But they're no longer bound to the our universe, to the physical or the material, right? Now, this is interesting. The more consciousness it possesses to maintain its reality, I think that's for the powerful entities, bro. That's some powerful ones. They barely know how to stay in our reality. Say if they come from the absolute, they may not. Just to say, just like how we don't have experience going to the absolute and navigating it and going to other worlds or say dimensions or realities that's not our own, but other entities, understanding and comprehension of worlds, like say that they can do that in their hours. They may not know how to be in our specific reality or world. I went on a tangent. That's probably not what that means, but that's kind of how I understand some of this stuff. And again, it goes back to all the omens. They just I feel omens, cups, any type of material item. Hey, this is a sacred item, or this is a sacred place. Um, all that's energy, and all that's close to the absolute. All that resides. I would probably say even heaven, again, heaven and hell, and all that, all everything like that, spirit world. All that resides within the absolute, and they can affect our. Where am I going with this? All right. Well, regardless, it sounds cool stuff. Um, where we at? Okay. I've been reading for too long. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. This is another cool read. When we start again, we're gonna start from consciousness and perspective, and um, I'll see y'all later. I think we're close to being done. Uh, but I'll catch y'all later. Goshen's out. 99.